Putting on the uniform for the first time, it just felt so real. Like, it makes you sit up a little straighter, and it just feels really amazing to be able to wear this.
Earning my wings today it's like a dream.
Feeling that you have when you put on the uniform is pride. You know, I was proud.
It meant the world to me to grab these wings today and say, I got them wings, you know, I got them on and I'm proud about it.
Envoy Air is a regional airline wholly owned by American Airlines. The reason I applied at Envoy is their culture. You know, from the interview process all the way until you get to the training, it's their culture is they want you to succeed, and that's important.
From the moment of my interview and like being there with them, everything, like every experience that I had, everybody was so kind. Everybody was so nice. They're willing to give you good advice and they're encouraging. Like they just make you feel better about yourself when you're here. That is why I went with Envoy.
The process at Envoy to become a flight attendant, you go online, you submit your application. So you get this face-to-face email and they're saying, we want to fly you out to meet you. And they fly you out here and you're very nervous and you're like, oh my gosh, you know. But once you meet them and once they come out, you know, and they're all dressed in their uniforms and, you know, the recruiting team's here, you know, they're circulating people through and when you find out that you finally made it and that you finally are going to get that CJO, you know, it sinks in. This is happening. You know, that I'm reaching my goal of being a flight attendant.
At the beginning, we did virtual training. It was a good experience overall. I enjoyed being able to be thorough and get everything answered in a prompt way and email. It was just a new virtual way of doing things. The first day, I think it was good. Everyone was excited just to finally meet each other and to meet the trainers behind the screen that we hadn't seen on Teams. That was unique, but I really enjoyed the experience overall. Just coming together and being able to be hands-on was a good experience for all of us.
In-person training was really intense. It was nonstop learning, but we all got through it and we had a lot of fun. I don't know if it's like this with every class, but my class we just clicked really well. We had just seen these little faces on the computer screen. Nobody knew what anyone was gonna be like. Immediately we all became really good friends and we've all worked together ever since then, and it's just been really fun to be able to work with them every single day.
You go from doing virtual, then they fly you out here for in-person. So now you're hands-on and you're putting all of what you learned that first week to use in a different aspect with your classmates here. Because, you know, before your classmates were on this little square on the computer and now they're next to you. Some of the things that you'll learn in flight attendant training are door arming and disarming. And then, you know, you'll do your medical CPR training and you'll learn the operation of the safety equipment. You know, just because you're on a plane doesn't mean that there's not, you know, a first aid kit or an emergency medical kit or, you know, there's fire extinguishers and PPE. Well, you have to learn how to use it. So you'll go through all of this in your, you know, training period and things like that.
We had to learn the pre-flight of all the emergency equipment on all of the different aircrafts. We had to learn so many different emergency evacuation procedures. We had to learn just all the components of the different planes. Trying to digest all that information it seemed so impossible, but we were all able to do it eventually.
We had a bunch of workshops inside the cabins where we had different like scenarios with the planes. Just like the coolest thing you could ever do. I don't know how to explain it. Like to me, it's just like every day I'm like, oh wow, this is really happening. This is awesome. One of my favorite things was the slide jump. So you have to cross your arms, you have to sit straight up, and then you jump. But we got zipped up in our uniforms, and we're all very excited. It ended up being a really fun and funny process.
For me, it was very complicated. It was very strenuous, but I dared to challenge myself. I dared to be different. I dared to win. And for me, I just wanted to bring it. You know, my classmates were awesome. I needed a lot of help, trainers and all, a lot of help, but they really supported me. And I'm so thankful because without them, I wouldn't be here. My IOE with Envoy was a really good experience. I went on the 175 and I had two flight attendants, 1 and 2, that were buddies. They did a buddy bidding. So on every flight they're together. I thought that was amazing. That was the first time I had heard of that. And I would love to try that. That would be like a great experience if you have a friend or someone you met in your training and you both decide this is what you want. That's great. I also went on the 145 for a couple of flights. My flight attendant, who was awesome and amazing, she was very patient. She took the time with me. She helped me with notes and everything. Even after we got off the plane, we sat on the side at the airport and just kind of went over some things. And it was encouraging, very, very encouraging. The trainers were great in my experience.
I think my favorite part of training was the friendships and relationships that I built with people. It's a bond, and it's a special bond because not everyone knows what it's like. You were a family, and I think at the end of the day, that's what I'll treasure most about this program is the bonds and the relationships that I built with everyone.
I'm super excited for the travel benefits. That is one of the higher up reasons a lot of us do apply for this job. I'm just excited that I can wake up one morning that I have off and go to these places for the day. We are actually really lucky. We're able to travel anywhere that American flies to, and that's a huge benefit for us. It's just really nice to be able to work so hard and get to fly somewhere and relax for a while for free.
My base announcement was Chicago. I'll be commuting from Philadelphia, so it'll be maybe 2.5-hour flight there. But, it's a new city, and, it's exciting. Change is hard. It's not easy. And, you'll see throughout this process that you go through is that's what you're going to think about is, change. But you embrace it and, you go with it and you'll come out on the other side a different person and a stronger person.
I was so excited when we received our base announcements, and I'm going to be based here in DFW. What I like about being based in DFW is I'm a 45-minute flight from home, and DFW is one of the bigger bases, so we get to fly to a lot more places, so I don't need to go far in order to fly somewhere I want to go.
I regret that I didn't start this a long time ago when I really wanted to do it, but it's never too late. I'm doing it now. I feel amazing. I really do. I feel well achieved. I feel like I can carry the Envoy way, but I believe I fit here, so I'm ready for it.
So my advice to a future flight attendant trainee would be, take it one day at a time. I always told my classmates it's 1 day, 1 hour, 1 goal. And remember why you're here, because that is what is going to get you through this program. And when you walk across that stage and they hand you those wings, it's going to be your proudest moment.
Putting on the uniform meant you did it. You're a winner. You succeeded. You're an accomplisher. You're courageous. You're awesome. And it made me feel super, super bright and intelligent. And I was just like ready to go save the world. And I feel great in it.
Being a flight attendant, I really didn't know that I could do it, and now I did. And it's a big day.
Pinning the wings it just felt amazing. You're like, I did it. I did this. This is something that I put in 110%, and I earned those wings. And, that's just how it feels. It's an amazing experience.
I did graduate today, and it felt absolutely amazing. It just really makes you realize that every single thing we've been through and all the hard work we put in is actually, it worked out. We did it. And putting on these wings for the first time, it felt surreal. It felt amazing. I see all these official flight attendants walking around every single day, and that's what I wanted to be, and I am.